Papaki tua na ngā taiki mau au. Nuku hia, neke hia. Whiu rere tia hotu a wahinirua ki te wai. Ki tai wiwi, ki tai wāwā. Ki te whai au, ki te ao marama ti he mauri ora. Ka rau ki e tika ki haere tika tonu ki te whakamoimiti. Hoi anō. E mi atu ki a koutou, ngā mātā waka. Kei wainga nui, a kua tāmai ki tēnei huihuinga. Ki a koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou. Hoi anō i tēnei wā. A hakoa ka nui ngā hāhi kei wainga nui a tātou. Ai tēnei wā ko te hāhi rātana. Nō reire iho ngā mano, matua tama wairua tapu. Āna hera pono me te māngai. Nei mātau a koutou pononga e tukatu nei tēnei reo whakamaimiti. Ki moi o koutou aroro. Koutou anau ki te tīmatanga me te whakautia ngā mea katoa. Me te tona tika koutou, hia mai a koutou manākitanga. Ki runga i ngā hunga e māwiwi ana. I o rātau kāinga, ngā hoi pera. Ai ngā whare wairangi, ngā whare herere a tauiwi. Ho mai ki runga i a mātau katoa. Hoi no, i a tātou katoa. Piki te kaha, piki te ora, piki te maramatanga. Te mahanga hei tau toko mai, ai ane ake nei. Ai, ki ora tātou.
Please be seated. Kia ora hu mai tātou. Ko te pai te whiti kimi hea ki e mau, ko te pai tāta whakamaua ki a tīna, humi e hui e, tae ki e. Kia ora hu mai tātou, e nāu rangatira, nāu mai haramai ki tēnā kura, te kurutini o Puiki. Welcome everyone to Bay of Plenty Polytechnic and our graduation ceremony for the School of Design and Humanities. Haramai e nā mātua, haramai e nā hoa, haramai e nā kaiako, haramai e nā tauira. Welcome to family, to friends, to the staff of the Polytechnic, and most of all, of course, the reason why we're here this morning, to the students that are graduating. Haramai e te manihiri tuarangi, haramai e te whanau mo tēnei hakari. Welcome particularly to those who've had to travel from afar to join us today. Welcome all of you to our family and to our celebration. I'd like to recognise that I'm joined on stage this morning, in addition to the staff of the School of Design and Humanities, led by the Head of School, Jill Brockus, by the Chairperson of the Bay Plenty Polytechnic Council, Ian Turner, by Dr. Cheryl Stevens from Te Whare Wananga o Awanuirangi, and by the staff of the School of Design and Humanities. This is a celebration, this is your day. We are sharing in your pride, and as you go across stage, you will be able to feel the pride from your family, from friends, and from the staff who've worked with you throughout this year. Your qualifications are hard-earned. You've committed significant amounts of time, commitment, and money to being successful. And there's very few of us in life achieve much without the help of others. And so at the outset, I would like to recognise 3 such groups who I think have been important in various ways to our graduates achieving this culmination of their studies. First of all, it's the family and friends who've been there to support, to encourage through the difficult times and through the good times. To your fellow students for their collegiality, for their support, and hopefully amongst those relationships there will be friendships that will last a lifetime. And finally, to the staff of Bay Plenty Polytechnic. And this morning, that's the staff of the School of Design and Humanities, led by Jill Brockus. And we're particularly fortunate in the calibre and professionalism of our staff. So I would like you to join with me in recognising the staff of the School of Design and Humanities. I'm just going to say a few words first about your success as graduates, and then just take you a little bit into the future and to put a couple of challenges. And those challenges are not only at the graduates, but to a certain extent they're at all of us. But first of all, your success. Don't underestimate what you've achieved. We do not give tertiary qualifications away easily. You have earned them. Now go out with pride and with humility and make them work for you. Go out and make a difference to your life and that of your family, your whānau, your friends. The skills and the attitude and the abilities that you've developed in your time with Bay Plenty Polytechnic are crucially needed by your country, by New Zealand, Aotearoa. And if I just quickly look at the programs that are represented this morning, hopefully demonstrate just how needed you are. In terms of the creative arts, we have this morning fashion, graduating right up to the degree program. We have our art diploma and we have our radio program. It is well known and well evidenced that the health of creative arts in a country reflects the strength of that country, the productivity of that country, but also the tolerance and the confidence of that country. You and the creative arts, the creative industries are a touchstone of the health of that society and that community. If we look at the service sectors, and we have 3 or 4 programs represented by the service industries, service sectors, they are vitally important for New Zealand's performance. They are not only 2/3 of employment throughout the world is in the service sector, but 2/3 of New Zealand's economic contribution and performance comes from the service sectors. They are an indicator of the health of the nation. They're an indicator of the economic growth and the development of the nation. We have a number of graduates this morning coming from our foundation and bridging programs. New Zealand is a relatively small country, population 4.3 million. So for us to be competitive in the global world out there, we have to punch above our weight. And the best way we can do that is to invest in our people and invest in the skills of our people. Demographics, particularly for the Bay Plenty, show that the future for the Bay Plenty depends very much on the youth that are coming through. That is where our skill pool will be derived from. And yet we look at that sector of our population, and far too many have had a poor experience in secondary. They're disillusioned, they're often disengaged. Education is not something that you deserve. Education is a right and an opportunity. Therefore, the task for the Polytechnic now and into the coming years is to re-engage with those young people, to create access and opportunity for everyone to start tertiary study, to be able to develop their skills, to be able to influence their own life and that of their whānau and family. If we fail to do that, then the consequences will be we'll get increasing decohesion in our society. All of the programs at Bay of Plenty Polytechnic are important. None are more important than our foundation and bridging programs, because they are the start of the tertiary education journey for our people. They are the start of the journey through which they can realise their dreams and realise their future. We are graduating this morning programs in the social services and in healthcare assistant. And it seems particularly pertinent that only a week ago, when we received an OECD report that said that we were declining in terms of our position with the other 34 nations in the OECD in regard to child poverty, with nearly 265,000 of our children at the poverty or below, that we should just remind ourselves how important the skills of our graduates today are going to be. That report may have been minimised a little bit by some because it was a comparative report done against the whole world and was fairly high level. It's very difficult to avoid the findings of that report when on Monday of this week our own Children's Commissioner, Russell Wills, published his report into child poverty, confirming the scale of the issue that New Zealand has, more than 250,000 of our children in poverty. And equally, he traced through in his report that the consequences of that has led to an increase in the past 4 years of 12% in admissions into our hospitals of children with symptoms derived from poverty. OECD is an association that looks at 34 developed countries and regularly publishes performance data and statistics. And I've got to say, in many regards, in terms of society, New Zealand's rating is continuing to fall. We're down the bottom of the list in terms of child mortality. Immunisation, we're the second lowest. Youth suicide, we're the lowest. Prison, we're the seventh lowest. And child abuse, we're in the bottom quarter. 10 children died last year from abuse. 21,000 children were hospitalised from abuse. We can't blame that on the politicians, and we can't blame it on the agencies. We are our society, we make our society. We have to do something to turn that around, because that's the sort of world we're creating for our children and our grandchildren. It's got to start in the home, it's got to be in the schools, it's got to be in the workplace, it's got to be in the clubs. We have to do a heck of a lot better for our kids than what we're doing now. Moving to your success as graduates, and apologies for getting a little bit heavy there, but I think it's necessary. You have earned your success. What I ask you to do is to recognise that success, but also recognise that you are now a role model. You can demonstrate what hard work and tertiary qualifications, what doors it can open for people. So you are an influencer in your family, you're an influencer in your community. Never cease to be ambitious. This is only one station on the journey of life, of learning for you. Continue to set your goals high. No one has any right to criticize how ambitious you are. Whaia te ita kaharangi, ki te tuahu, ko mehe mona tete. If and when you have to bow your heads, let it be to the loftiest peak. At this point, I'm going to quote as saying that education is the most powerful weapon for change in the world today. And that quote came from Nelson Mandela. And it would be remiss of me not to say a few short words about the passing of that great man, a towering figure and leader in the world. He was brought up in oppression and injustice, in a stark apartheid regime. He spent 27 years for his beliefs in Robben Island prison. When he came out, he subsequently became the first democratically elected president of South Africa. He came out of 27 years of prison full of forgiveness, caring, humility, strength, and vision for unity of his rainbow country. A recent obituary said that prison and the injustice and oppression that he experienced melted his courage with forgiveness and forged reconciliation. And it was that reconciliation and that leadership that led his country out of the darkness. I would like to just quote 3 or 4 quick sayings from Nelson Mandela that I believe are relevant to our occasion today. First of all, directed at our politicians, that even in severe austerity, education is much, much more than just an expense. In terms of judging himself, do not judge me by my successes, but by how many times I fell and how many times I got back up. And just going back to how we look after our most vulnerable, we owe it to our children, who are the most vulnerable members of our society, that they should have a life that is free of violence and fear. Social equality is the only basis for human happiness. And finally, there is no passion in thinking and playing small. If you are capable of so much more in your life. I would like you to accept that as you graduate today, you are become an active member of your society and your community. That the young people and not so young people we've spoken about 3 or 4 minutes ago, the vulnerable, the needy in our society, that you're willing to stand up and speak for them. You are fortunate, they are not so fortunate. They need a voice. They need lots of voices. They need lots of voices to make changes. Steve Jobs, the chief executive of Apple, said that believe in yourself. Live your life, not what someone else thinks your life should be. And most of all, don't let others' opinions drown out what your inner voice tells you. Have the courage and have the confidence to go with your heart and go with your intuition and go out there and make a difference for you and for yours. Kia kaho, kokoto koapapo. To our graduates, be strong because you are our people of tomorrow. It's been a privilege having you as students at Bay Plenty Polytechnic. And I thank each and every one of you for the contribution that you've made during your time with us, whether that be 6 months or 3 years. The karakia I opened with, ko te pai te whiti kimi hea ki e mau, ko te pai tata whakamaua ki e tina, says, search your future in distant horizons, but hold fast to the skills and the gifts that you have and build on those. To me, o tua, me he tō ho. A very happy Christmas and an enjoyable and successful New Year in 2014. No reira e homa, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. It now gives me great privilege to welcome the head of the School of Design and Humanities, Jill Brockus.